Hey guys, in today's video, I'll be showing you how to make this very yummy special fried rice. If you give it a try, you're going to absolutely love it. It is loaded with vegetables and protein, and it is perfect for family meal or even small gathering. So let me show you how to make it. So for this recipe, I'm using turkey as my protein, but you can use chicken or any other meat of choice. I placed the turkey into the pot. I added some chopped onion, ginger and garlic, salt, seasoning cube, nutmeg, and some fresh thyme. Now, if you don't have fresh thyme, you can use dry thyme. I gave everything a good stir to make sure that the seasoning and the meat is well combined. Then I covered the pot. Now, after about 15 minutes of letting the turkey cook in its own juice, I added some water. Allowing the turkey steam first helps it to absorb the flavor of the seasoning and also release its own natural juice. I give that a good stir, cover the pot again and let it cook until the turkey was fully done. And once that was done, I removed it from the pot into a strainer and then set it aside. Now I'm going to go ahead and sieve the stock, and as you can see, there are tiny bones in the stock, so I sieve it to avoid any bone fragments in the rice we're going to be using the stock to cook. I also rinse that as well and then set it aside. Then I went ahead to place my turkey into my air fryer basket because I'm going to be air frying it. But if you don't have an air fryer or an oven, you can simply fry the turkey in some oil. Air frying it is just a personal choice to reduce my oil intake, so do whatever you want, fry, air fry, or even place it in an oven is totally fine. Now, while the turkey was air frying, I went ahead to wash the rice I'll be using. And for the rice, I am going to be using the Golden Sila Basmati rice, but you can use any rice you prefer, such as the regular parboiled rice. I poured some hot water over it to help it remove as much surface starch as possible. Then I ran some room temperature water into it so that it will be easy for me to scrub it between my palms. Now you're just going to wash that as many times as possible. You keep changing the water, scrubbing it between your palm until the water runs completely clear. And in the same pot I used earlier, I just gave it a quick rinse. I poured the stock back into it and added the washed rice. I added a little bit of salt into it because the stock already contains salt and seasoning cube. I gave that the quick stir and covered it. Now I'm going to let this rice cook for until it's about 90% done because the rice is going to be fried later, and also the residual heat in the rice is going to soften it a bit more. So once it reached that stage, I took it off the heat and set aside. Now it's time to prep the other proteins we're going to be using. I sliced my deboned chicken thigh into tiny pieces, but if you don't have deboned chicken thigh, you can use chicken breast. But know that chicken thigh is more flavorful than chicken breast. So once I was done slicing that, I placed it into a bowl. I added my seasoning into it, then I gave it a very good mix to make sure that it is properly combined, then set it aside. Now I repeated the same process as well for my shrimp, added my seasoning into it, gave it a very good mix, and then I set that aside as well. I prefer to marinate my protein first so that they absorb the flavor of the seasoning while I prepare the vegetables. And for the vegetables, I sliced red bell pepper, yellow bell pepper, and green bell pepper. I cut it into two first because I want it to just be a short, long strip. I don't know if that makes sense, but cut it into two to just have this same shape. Now you can cut it into any shape of choice. You can use dice instead of what I'm using here. Once I was done, I went ahead to grate my carrots using a vegetable grater, and next I proceeded to chop some cabbage. I'm using green cabbage. You can also add purple cabbage if you want to give it that nice beautiful pop of color, but I didn't have purple cabbage on the day I was making this recipe, so I didn't add it to it. And once you're done with that, you're going to go ahead to chop some green onion and then set that aside. I'm also going to be chopping the bottom part of the onion. I'm going to be using that for something else separately from when I'm going to be adding the green side of the onion. Next, I chop some ginger and garlic, and if you want, you can also add scotch bonnet pepper into it. Once you're done chopping all your vegetables, you're going to set them aside. Now let's put everything together. In a wide pot or a pan, I heated up some vegetable on very high heat, and then I added the marinated chicken into it. I spread it out nicely so that it could grill properly, and within 5 minutes it was nicely cooked. I removed it from the pot and set it aside. Next, I went in with the shrimp, and it takes only about 3 to 5 minutes to cook the shrimp as well. Once the shrimp is ready, you're going to remove that as well and set it aside. Now, after removing the shrimp, I added a little bit of sesame oil into the pot, followed by the bottom part of the spring onion. My ginger, garlic, I gave it a good stir and then let that cook for about 3 minutes to release the aroma. Then I added red bell pepper, yellow bell pepper, carrots, and then I cooked that for another 2 minutes. Next, I pour the rice into it, and one very important tip, your rice must be completely cool. If it is warm, the grains will break, especially basmati rice. So if you need to refrigerate the rice, let it cool down completely, please do so. Make sure the rice is also not overcooked. Once the rice is in, add dark soy sauce, light soy sauce, and oyster sauce. Fry everything on very high heat. If your pan is too small, you can fry it in batches. You don't want your rice to be overcrowded in a small pan, else it would not fry properly. Now I fried this for about 15 minutes until the grains was dry, separate, and it was slightly toasty. Another tip when frying your rice is to be careful not to add too much oil, since it already contains oil from the meat stock. Now chicken and turkey often releases enough oil during cooking, which is why I didn't add extra vegetable oil to the sesame oil I used in the pot. However, if the stock is not oily and the rice seems dry, you can add a little bit more oil before adding the vegetable. This helps the rice fry properly and prevent it from sticking. Then after 15 minutes of toasting the rice, I added the chicken and shrimp back into it. I stirred everything together, frying for another 5 minutes so the protein can heat up nicely. This fried rice, really, you have to toast it very well. Make sure that everything is nice and, toasty. After that, I added the green bell pepper, the green part of the onion, the cabbage, and this goes in last so that it will remain crisp and vibrant, because overcooking actually destroys your green vegetable. And once that was in, I stirred that for 2 minutes, and that's it. Your very delicious loaded vegetable and protein fried rice is ready. It looked amazing, it smelled incredible, and tasted wonderful. I'm certain if you give this recipe a try, you're going to love it. So guys, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, and of course you find the full recipe of everything I used in the description box of this video. So I'll see you in the next one. Have a wonderful day ahead. Bye.